to episode 15 of Inspirations by Dr. Gale. This is the first part of my new resiliency series, Making Lemonade Out of Lemons. Some experts have defined resiliency as the ability to bounce back from adversity, rebounding from negative experiences, and bouncing back from setbacks. My own definition of resiliency is no matter what trials, challenges, or problems you face, resiliency is the ability to get up and keep moving in a positive direction to pursue your healthy dreams and goals. However, in a recent episode of a TV program titled Uncensored, I heard actress Tasha Smith say the following, quote, "What I've learned about myself is that I am resilient. I can snap back, and I have a strength inside of me that could only come from God." Unquote. I love Tasha's definition of resiliency because she overcame a lot of adversity during her childhood and young adult years, and her definition of snapping back is short and straightforward. Like Tasha, I am resilient, and I know that God is the source of my strength. As a researcher, author, and former professor, I've spent a lot of time writing and speaking about resiliency. In previous episodes, I explained that during my doctoral studies, my dissertation topic was resiliency. At that time, I conducted interviews and collected questionnaire data in order to answer this question. Why do some African Americans who experience adversity during childhood become successful, yet others don't? So, in this series, I'll be sharing the answers to this question, and I'll be talking about the importance of bouncing back, or snapping back as Tasha describes it, and moving forward. I'll share stories and strategies from my own life and the lives of others that explain how each of us has not only been able to keep moving forward during difficult times, but how we used adversity to improve the lives of others through our work. In other words, how we made lemonade out of lemons. In addition to applying this information to your own life, I hope that you'll share the stories and strategies with children, teenagers, and young parents in your network. If you're an educator, please incorporate resiliency stories and strategies into your curriculum on a regular basis because children and teens need this information. This is also an easy way to make your curriculum culturally responsive. Another reason why these stories and strategies are so important is that we live in a very turbulent and stressful world. If you listen to any news program for just a few minutes, you'll probably hear numerous sad stories. Stories about violence, natural disasters, and just plain craziness. And bad news is nothing new. This is the reason that more than 20 years ago, my sister Tammy decided to stop listening to the news. In addition to hearing negative and tragic news stories, each of us faces daily challenges. These challenges can pertain to our health, work life, family life, relationships with friends and acquaintances, finances, and other personal issues. And for individuals who experienced adversity during childhood, life's daily challenges can become even more problematic by adding more stress to a lifetime of stressful events. Experts such as Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris, a pediatrician and author of The Deepest Well, Healing the Long-Term Effects of Childhood Adversity, have found that many children and adults who experience ACEs or adverse childhood experiences live with toxic stress. This toxic stress can cause long-term mental and physical health problems. It can also make it more difficult for individuals to bounce back or snap back from adversity and continue to move forward in a positive direction. In other words, it can make it harder for them to become as resilient as they need to be in order to make their healthy dreams and goals become reality. For example, Many researchers and medical experts have reported that depression, anxiety, and suicide rates are increasing in the U.S. A study conducted by Blue Cross Blue Shield revealed that since 2013, major depression rates have risen dramatically. This rate is rising even faster among millennials and adolescents, especially girls. Furthermore, women are more likely than men to be diagnosed with depression. A report from Mental Health America revealed that recent surveys indicate that as many as 1 in 5 teens suffers from clinical depression. In spite of these very troubling reports, Dr. Harris and other experts have found that protective factors can minimize the effects of toxic stress and even serve as buffers from this stress. Protective factors that are constantly mentioned by experts include having positive relationships and especially having positive role models. In a book titled Resiliency: What We Have Learned, author Bonnie Bernard emphasized that one of the main differences between children from challenging backgrounds who turned out well as adults and those who didn't was that most of the children who turned out well had at least one turnaround adult in their lives. By turnaround adult, she meant a powerful, influential, life-changing adult who made a positive impact on the child. Often, these turnaround adults don't realize the impact that they're making through acts of kindness such as smiling, complimenting, listening to, giving advice, mentoring, providing academic support, giving books, etc., to hurting children and teens. In my work with school leaders and teachers, I constantly emphasize the importance of choosing to become turnaround adults for children and teens who've experienced ACEs. One of the easiest ways that teachers, parents, and other adults can do this is to bombard children and teens with resiliency stories that provide them with specific strategies that they can use to deal with stressors and challenges. And I'm speaking from experience because during the 14 years that I was a high school and junior high school teacher, I constantly shared resiliency stories with my students. Many of these students were from groups that have historically been underserved in schools. My students included African Americans, first-generation immigrants, former English language learners, students in foster care, students from migrant families, and students from low-income families. Being a turnaround adult for my students was very important to me because when I was growing up, several individuals in the small churches that I attended and also my 6th grade teacher became turnaround adults for me. Because I experienced 7 out of the 10 ACEs on that Adverse Childhood Experiences questionnaire, these adults played an instrumental role in changing my life course in positive ways. And as I explained in previous episodes of this podcast, not only during childhood, but throughout my lifetime, I've experienced many challenges. These challenges include growing up on welfare, being abused, being viewed by some teachers as a failure, having other negative labels placed on me, being rejected by some family members, former friends, acquaintances, book editors and publishers, and having such low self-esteem that for decades I believed that I was ugly, inferior, and cursed. Furthermore, as I explained in the episode titled, What If I Had Killed Myself? During the period when I was a single parent and on welfare again as an adult, I became so depressed that I was actually planning to kill myself. An ongoing challenge that I've experienced throughout my lifetime is being subjected to microaggressions, racism, and racial profiling in schools, stores, airports, the workplace, and other settings. In terms of airports, in my podcast episode titled, Do I Look Like a Criminal to You? I described how being racially profiled by TSA agents has affected me. Ironically, 2 recent articles stated that TSA agents have admitted that their body scanners may be discriminatory against Black women. Here are a few other examples of some of my experiences pertaining to racism. Several years ago, I was traumatized after an employee in the bookstore at a very famous museum in Los Angeles treated me like I was a thief instead of a professor who was merely trying to purchase 2 books. From that day to this one, I've never set foot in that museum. I've also been called the N word by at least one educator, and I can only imagine how that educator treats African American children behind closed doors. In another instance, during one of the workshops that I conducted at a middle school, the principal snatched the microphone out of my hand not once, but twice in front of everyone. And during my doctoral studies, one of my professors repeatedly made blatantly racist remarks about blacks. Many Americans believe that racism is a thing of the past, refuse to face and address it, and try to silence and marginalize those of us who speak out against it. However, racism, microaggressions, and racial profiling are very common and continue to affect countless individuals, including children and teens. This is another reason why sharing resiliency stories is so important. By sharing resiliency stories about racism, racial profiling, and microaggressions with children and teens who face these problems on an ongoing basis, turnaround adults can help them learn how to deal with this particular type of adversity. Although I'm grateful to God for the turnaround adults who helped me and grateful to these individuals, as I've grown older, I've learned 3 interesting lessons about the danger of depending on others during times of crisis. First, I've learned that some people may want to be helpful but don't know how, so these individuals may avoid me when I'm going through a difficult period. Second, I've learned that some folks are so overwhelmed by their own problems that they don't have the emotional energy to listen to my problems when I need support. Finally, I've learned that some folks just don't want to be bothered with me when I have a problem. Because of these experiences, there have been many times in my life when I felt that during hard times, all I had was God and Gail. The good news is that these painful experiences forced me to develop a positive relationship with myself through ongoing inner growth work. This inner growth work helped me to deal with my over-reliance on other people, approval addiction, low self-esteem, negative self-image, and ignorance and misunderstandings about my God-ordained personality, purpose, and passion. It also helped me to develop core beliefs that guide my life, and it motivated me to create a personalized roadmap to success that includes short-term and long-term goals and a related accountability plan. In the Personal Empowerment Challenge section of every previous episode, I've shared many of these inner growth work strategies with you. Because of the inner growth work that I've done and continue to do, instead of believing that I'm cursed, inferior, or that something's wrong with my personality, I know for certain that no matter what I've been told or what I've been through, I am beautiful, good enough, talented enough, and smart enough to attain my goals. Furthermore, like Tasha Smith, I can boldly say, I am resilient. When life's challenges try to knock me down, I'm going to keep getting up, keep snapping back, and keep moving forward to pursue my healthy dreams and goals. In every previous episode, especially What If I Had Killed Myself in the Spirit of Fear, I've shared specific ways that I've handled adversity, especially by relying on my faith in God and the power of prayer. In terms of prayer, researchers have found that there are many positive benefits of prayer and meditation. In fact, the prayer of serenity is often used in substance abuse recovery programs. Here's the short version of this popular prayer. God grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. In my own case, during difficult times, I pray for strength, guidance, wisdom, and especially that I will emerge from this trying period stronger, wiser, and better. I also pray for enough faith, productivity, and joy to help me get through each day. Another strategy that helps me to deal with adversity is reading and meditating on positive Bible scriptures such as, "The darkest hour is just before dawn. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. All things will work together for my good." And thanks to my dear friend, Dr. Dorothy June Hetzel, I have a beautifully framed copy of a scripture from the book of Jeremiah on my dining room wall. That scripture says, "For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." A third powerful strategy that I use is speaking positive affirmations to and about myself, especially early in the morning. As a black woman in a society that constantly tries to convince me that something is wrong with my personality and physical appearance, speaking positive affirmations about myself, especially in the morning and throughout the day, is extremely important. This is a great way for me to remember who I am, my core beliefs, and one of the best ways for me to stop negative thoughts and experiences from causing me to become depressed, anxious, and fearful about my current situation. Here are a few examples of some of the positive affirmations that I use and also included in my book, Dear Beautiful, a self-empowerment book for Black women. I am beautiful because I was created in God's image. I love my personality, skin tone, hair texture, features, and body. I'm extremely valuable and intelligent. I deserve to take good care of myself. I can attain my goals. A fourth strategy that has been very effective for me is remembering past victories. For example, I often think of how much progress I've made since the days when I was planning to kill myself. That was a very dark time in my life, but since then, I've had great professional success and many wonderful experiences. Remembering past victories is empowering. From the time that I was a little girl singing in church choirs, singing and listening to uplifting music has also been a huge blessing to me, especially during stressful times. For example, during the time that I lived in Africa as a Peace Corps volunteer, singing helped me to deal with being thousands of miles away from my family and friends. Today, no matter what mood I'm in or what's going on in my life, uplifting music always makes me feel better. I try to incorporate music into my life every single day. Here are a few of the uplifting songs that are on my playlist. "Trouble Don't Last Always" by Reverend Timothy Wright. "It Ain't Over" by Marette Brown Clark. "He Won't Leave You" by Richard Smallwood. "Sowing Tears" by Richard Smallwood. "On Your Face" by Earth, Wind, and Fire. And "Don't Let This Cold World Get You Down" by Teddy Pendergrass. Don't let this cold world get you down. Be strong and hold on. Don't let this cold world get you down, down, down. Don't you let it get you down, cold, cold world. Get you down, don't let this cold, cold world. You get the message. Art therapy is another powerful strategy that I use. For decades, many therapists have used art therapy, the use of music, drawing, painting, etc., to help children and teens recover from trauma. So in the evenings while watching TV with my husband, I draw and color. Drawing and coloring are relaxing and therapeutic for me, and this is one of the reasons why I included art therapy in every chapter of Dear Beautiful. Reading and listening to resiliency stories about others has also been very helpful to me. These stories remind me that countless people have chosen to make lemonade out of the lemons, aka the adversity that they've experienced. And they remind me that when we face challenges, we can choose to give up on our hopes and dreams or find ways to keep moving forward in a positive direction. These are the reasons why most of the books that I read at bedtime consist of resiliency stories. Here are the main points that I hope that you'll take away from this episode. Life can be challenging and no one can avoid having problems. During these difficult times, it's wonderful to have supportive individuals who can and are willing to help us. However, when these individuals can't or won't be there for us, it's important for us to be there for ourselves 24 hours each day, 7 days a week. In other words, it's important for us to be our own turnaround people by using strategies that will help us bounce back, snap back, and keep moving forward to pursue our healthy goals and dreams regardless of who or what comes against us. Stay tuned for this week's Personal Empowerment Challenge. This week's Personal Empowerment Challenge consists of 8 exercises that are designed to help you identify and create strategies that can help you bounce back or snap back and keep moving towards your healthy dreams and goals when life becomes challenging. In your personal growth notebook or journal, please do the following. Number 1, make a list of the best strategies that have helped you keep moving forward toward your healthy dreams and goals during difficult times in the past. Number 2, if you haven't already done so, create at least 5 positive affirmations about yourself that you can speak to yourself every single morning, especially during difficult times. Number 3, list strategies that you can use throughout the day to minimize stress when challenges arise. For example, throughout the day, I do deep breathing and stretching exercises to alleviate stress and muscle tension. Number 4, it's hard not to worry about our problems, but I've found that most of the things that I've spent time worrying about and fearing never happened. List your best strategies to stop worry and fear from overwhelming you, especially during difficult times. Number 5, make a list of past victories that you've had. And during difficult times, read this list to remind yourself that this too shall pass. Number 6, make a list of the 3 most resilient individuals who you know and ask them to share strategies that have helped them move forward during difficult times. Number 7, in the episode titled, You Deserve That Gift, I talked about the importance of giving gifts to ourselves on a regular basis. During difficult times, doing this is even more important. So list 5 to 10 gifts that you promise to give to yourself in order to invest in your spiritual, emotional, and physical health each day, but especially during difficult times. Finally, number 8, identify at least one child, teenager, or young parent in your network that you're willing to share resiliency stories and strategies with. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you'll join me next time to hear She Got Mad Enough to Do Something About It. How a survivor of sexual abuse became a warrior against human trafficking. This is part 2 of my resiliency series, Making Lemonade Out of Lemons. For more information about Inspirations by Gail LLC, please visit my website, www.drgailthompson.com. That's www.drgailthompson, as in Paul, son.com. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this podcast. You can do this through my website, but also through Inspirations by Gail, my YouTube channel. And please hit that like button. If you're interested in the theme music for this podcast, please check out Music by Aaron Nimbus on iTunes. In the meantime, please remember this. Life can be challenging and no one can avoid having problems. During these difficult times, it's wonderful to have supportive individuals who can and are willing to help us. However, when these individuals can't or won't be there for us, it's important for us to be there for ourselves 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In other words, it's important for us to become our own turnaround people by using strategies that will help us bounce back, snap back, and keep moving forward to pursue our healthy goals and dreams regardless of who or what comes against us. Until next time, hugs and blessings. I'm Dr. Gail L. Thompson.